Welcome to Heavy RopeFlow with Mother Rope. I am Josie Flotron, and this is my heaviest rope. It weighs 5.7 pounds, which is about 4% of my body weight. I worked my way up to swinging this over 18 months, starting with a rope that was only 50% heavier than my light regular flow rope. Moving this rope requires that I work with the momentum of the rope and the motion that my body makes, which is powered, of course, by my spinal engine and by the principles of rotational movement, by coiling and using head over foot locomotion. All of the things that we are taught in the WEC method are what allow me to move this really heavy rope. And what you're seeing here is my body pulling down. So my arms, as they come around, my left arm pulls down, the arm pulls down, and in that generates force that's easy to generate that pops the rope up where it's less easy for me to generate. These are some of the things that you begin to learn when you roll a heavy rope. You can't help but learn them because gravity is a very ruthless teacher. When I'm making transitions here, you can see that they're not quite like they would be with a lighter rope. The transitions are protecting my wrist, so I'm bringing them closer to my body and making the bends a little bit smoother. This here is me getting into an overhand sneak. And this movement is something I practice a lot. I have much refinement to make in it. Well, I decided to dance there for a second. Okay, so alternating overhand sneaks with walking means that I am moving my body inside of the sphere of the rope. This makes it a lot easier to move the rope. I do that by turning my elbows, turning my wrist, and turning my entire body from the hips using the spinal engine. This isn't something I was taught as much as had to figure it out because I like moving the rope, and if I want to keep moving it, I need to be as efficient as possible with my movement. The reason I really like moving heavy ropes is because it builds strength throughout my entire body to the point where sometimes I feel like I'm made of molten steel. And this has been a direct ripple over into every other area of my life, and especially back into my flow practice with lighter ropes. It's why my spine is as straight up and down as possible while also doing a very high degree of side-to-side rotation. So here again, I'm in alternating overhand sneaks, and I'm really focusing on getting that rope to be as smooth as possible. I'm not quite perfect with it by any stretch. One of the things that I do here is to release the tightness of my grip on the rope so that my hand becomes more of a tunnel and the rope slides inside of that tunnel. This allows it to turn itself during the arc of the rotation and not get caught up as much. Okay, here we are doing an anchored overhand sneak on the left as the anchor. You can see really clearly how much my body turns through the spinal rotation, how that is pulling up my hips pull up my knees pull up my feet. Everything rotates very smoothly here in order to stay within the arc of this rope, and I get good at catching it when I falter. All right, so on the other side, we are going to see pretty much the same thing. There's some differences between my sides, but you can really see how I've also needed to choke up on that handle just a little bit. This length right here that I'm doing makes it possible for me to do this movement. The rope, when it is clearing the ground, comes almost all the way to the ground. I choose not to let it scrape along the ground because that decreases its momentum and means that I would have to work harder. And I'm really invested in the most efficient movement that I can get here. There was also some instances there you could see my hands doing some of that release. I also call it feather grip. All right, so moving a heavy rope is pure joy for me. It was an 18-month process from when I started with a 1.5-pound rope and worked my way up progressively to this 5.7. And anybody who's ready to get started with rope flow, I encourage you to do so. And if heavy ropes call to you, I very much encourage you to be very careful. You can hurt your wrists really easily. You can wrench your joints really easily. But the benefits of heavy rope flow are profound, and I'm only yet beginning to explore what this practice can do for my body, my mind, and my soul. Thank you.